Hi, welcome. It's Grandma Roseanne, and we're going to be doing a segment for our beginners right now, which I think our beginner series is such an important series if you're really wanting to get started. So, this particular episode is going to be on tools that you need for the kitchen. Now, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you want to build something, you better have a hammer and you better have a tape measure. If you're going to do some gardening, you better have a spade. And there's just tools for whatever it is you're going to need to do. Same thing here. You need tools in your kitchen. And some of the things are absolutely essential that you have. Other things that I'll show you might be a little ways down the road in the progression of your skill level developing and whatever else might be, entering into that. I think I'm going to be talking to like the 18-year-old college student who's living with two friends for the very first time away from home and they have nothing. And I can be talking to the mom who has most of the time been a career lady and now actually ends up doing more cooking and more interested in cooking, but really doesn't have the skill set yet. So it'll be from very, very, very beginning to moderate, and it might be to the higher level because there might be some tools here that you weren't aware of. So take a look at what we're going to be discussing today. These are the things that I personally believe you have to have in your kitchen. Now, I'm going to go over each one of these because I want you to have clarity on what they are and how you're going to use them and why I believe they're very effective. The first thing is going to be a spatula, okay? You really need a spatula for just about everything. If you're scraping out of bowls, if you are moving things out of your saucepans, you need to have a spatula. But equally important is you need the little spatula. If you're doing something and taking it out of a small cup, then you need the smaller one. Now I want to tell you one thing too. Not all of them, but many of the things I'm going to show you today, especially all of these, if you can look down here, all of these smaller tools down here that I'll be discussing, most of those you can pick up at the dollar store. You really can. Be a little bit careful because sometimes the quality is not very good, but you're only paying $1, all right? But if you can handle a little bit more in your budget, try Marshall's or Ross. And I'm telling you, they are absolutely excellent in the products that they sell. And then if you have a lot of budget, go to Macy's. And if you have stupid discretional funding, go to Williams-Sonoma, okay? But those are kind of the categories where if you're really just getting started, very light budget, you're going to need all of these things, but you can buy them very efficiently and very inexpensively. So these I consider a must. Wooden spoons. Wooden spoons, again, because you're going to be working with coated surfaces, Teflon coated surfaces, you really don't want to scrape with any of your metal appliances. So you will be using this. A wooden spoon, they come in different sizes. I have only 2 sizes. Some of them, the sets have like 6 different levels. I don't know why you need 6. If I have a deep pot, I use this one. If I have a small pot, I use a small one. This has become very helpful. Now, if you can find something like this, fine. It is absolutely not essential. But what it does, because of the corner, you're able to get into the corner of that saucepan when you're cooking it. So that is really helpful. But just pay attention if you find something and it has a slant on it like that. It's probably a pretty good tool for your kitchen. This, again, if you are cooking pasta, I use this a lot for pasta, for going in and mixing the pasta as it's cooking, because this just kind of clumps it together. This is not really effective. This really works pretty good. There's going to be many times that you're going to be wanting to either baste a roast, or you might want to put a butter topping on a pie crust that's rather delicate. You're going to need a pastry brush, all right? Now, there's a ton of them, and honestly, at Ross or Marshall's or the dollar store, you'll find a million of these. I don't see any difference in them. They have different fibers. I've used all of them. I don't find any difference. So I kind of go like, if you like the color, get it, because they pretty well all do the same thing from my perspective. You're going to need, on many recipes, they're going to ask you to juice something, to juice lemons or oranges or lime. They're going to ask you to juice things because it's going to be oranges or lemons or limes that's really going to enhance the flavor. I have a large juicer, and it's an automatic juicer, so I just cut the fruit that fast and it's done. But I also have an orchard. So I have lime trees and orange trees and grapefruit trees, and I have all of that, so this is necessity. But if you're going to be just baking for a normal kitchen, this is perfect. This is wonderful. And what you do is just cut I cut the top, the stem off, and I cut the little bit of the root part off, cut it in half if it's anything, an orange, a lime, or a lemon. And I put it in there, and then you just squeeze it, all of the juice comes through. Now, even though I have a really large juicer, if I'm making a recipe, I don't pull that thing out and go through the problems of cleaning it. I use this. I only use the other one if I'm going to be doing, like, everything has ripened at the same time and I've got, 200 limes. Then I'm going to use this. Or then I'm going to use the other one. If I'm doing a recipe, I will use this. Garlic. Garlic is used in so many recipes, and especially if you watch my series, because I cook a lot with garlic. I really do. I love the flavor, I love the essence, I love the smell, I love the taste. So you might want to invest in a garlic press. Now, I don't use this very much. I really don't. I'll tell you the truth, because I have no trouble mincing and chopping, and I kind of like doing that. But this is very easy. You just peel the garlic, put it in there, push it down, and it extrudes right here. I use this little tool a lot, and I will tell you right now, this I would not consider to be an essential. I really don't consider it, but it really is a very, very good tool. And all you do is put whatever it is you're chopping there, your herbs or your onions or your garlics, and then you just do that. And it really is wonderful. You might not find this, but you might find this. And then you can just do it on any cutting surface at all. I use this a lot. I really do. So this, again, it is not an essential because you can actually make it all happen with just a knife. But if you have the budget and you run across it, it's really a nice little tool to have. Tongs. This is essential. You need them. You want the ones that are going to open and close with something here so that they just don't take up that much room in your drawer. This is very important when you're using any kind of fried foods, or you've got chicken that's working in the oven or on your stovetop. You can grab it, you can turn it, and it really is good. You can turn it by shoving a fork in it and turning it that way with a fork and a spatula, and I've done that, you guys, I have. But these are probably $1, and what you do not do when you do it this way is you do not puncture into the meat. When you take a fork and puncture into the meat, you're losing juices. So this is really, it's something you really do need. Spatulas, incredibly important. If you're frying eggs, if you are flipping pancakes, whatever it might be, very important. This is my least favorite, absolute least favorite, and I used it for years until I discovered this one. Now this one is really good. In case you can find one of these, it bevels up just a little bit like that, so you can really get in and flip things over. If you can do this, great, but if you can't, it doesn't matter. But you do need something like this in order to flip. A whisk, incredibly important. That's another thing you're going to need. Countless recipes are asking you to whisk eggs, whisk whipping cream, whisk something. So you're going to want these. Now, I do recommend that you get 2 sizes if you can. If you can only afford to get one, get the larger one, all right? But if you can, this is good if you're whipping just a single egg. This is good if you're going to be whipping whipping cream, okay? So they're both very good, but a whisk is essential. How are you going to peel those potatoes? Got to have a potato peeler, okay? And this is also good for, I don't know, I used to peel ginger with it until I learned that you don't have to peel ginger with a potato peeler. So all you do with ginger is you just get a spoon and you scrape the skin, because the skin is like tissue paper and it comes right off. But this is really important. You're going to want to have that. And then scissors. There's so many things in the kitchen that I end up using scissors for. So I've got a good pair of kitchen scissors in there. And then I also have a set of boning scissors. I don't know if they call them boning scissors. What do they call them? I don't know for sure. But if you're cutting a chicken, you're going to be able to cut right through that breastbone. So it's really a nice tool to have. Not essential. Not essential. But if you can, there will be times that you'll need it. It'll be a welcome tool. But I probably only use this, I don't know, maybe 5 times a year. Okay, so definitely not essential. Essential. This little scraper, fantastic. Now you can get the metal ones. I have metal ones just like this that I would not recommend because there's no flexibility to it. It's just solid metal. But this one, you can mold it, you can bend. So if you have something in here and you're needing, like if you're baking bread, and come on you guys, I've got a bread video up there that is so simple, anybody can do it. But one of these is really good. Now see how you can get in and you can actually bend this to get into that roundness of that bowl. So these are really essential. They're probably 75 cents. 50 cents maybe. Super, super, super cheap. Now then, measurements are crucial. They are crucial. You need to be very careful with your measurements, especially when you're just starting out. You really want to be careful. Now, if you're baking, you have to be spot on. You really do. If you're cooking, you can have a little bit of variance, but not so much when you're baking. So you need your measuring cups. And this is typically, right there, all 4 of your measuring cups. If you need 2/3, use 2 of that. If you need 3/4, you've got a 1/2 and a 1/4. So you can use that very easily. Measuring spoons, absolute essential. You cannot function in your kitchen without measuring cups and measuring spoons. Now, again, they'll go from 1 tablespoon down to a 1/4. Some of them will go down to an 1/8. But I also want you to see this. And this is a kitchen scale. Is it an essential? It is absolutely not an essential. It is not. I really vacillated when I started baking bread and I saw so many of the recipes call for grams and they call for precision. And I thought, am I ever going to use this darn thing? Is it just going to be a waste of money? I don't know. But I bought it. It was only like $13. Very, very inexpensive. I use it all the time. And I will tell you, it has really improved the quality of my cooking because I have accuracy with this. Do you have to have it? No, you don't. But if you got that extra $13, $15, is it a tool that will help you? Yeah, it will. And then I've got 2 other tools here that are really important from my perspective. Again, this is a meat thermometer. Now this is important because as you become more experienced, you're able to touch that steak, and by touching that steak, you know whether it's well done or whether it's medium rare or rare. Now, I've been cooking for probably 50 years now, and I still can't do that, and I don't trust myself to do that. But cameraman and I, my husband and I, we love medium rare steaks. So this, you just put in, and it gives you a digital read right there. Now, I do have in my drawer over here a very high-tech one of these, that is Bluetooth operated. It's very complicated. My son gave it to me. It was a very welcome gift. I can't figure out how to use the bugger, so I don't use it. This little Weber I got at Home Depot, and it was $10. That was it. So that I think is really important, and you will use that a lot. Now, if you're cooking oils or boiling water, or you're making a caramel sauce, and caramel sauces, White Mountain frostings, those you have to be spot on. You really have to be spot on those, because if you're 2 to 3 degrees under, it's not going to set up. 2 to 3 degrees over, and your caramel is going to be a rock. So this little tool is amazing, and it's only $10, and it's laser. So all you do is turn it on, and then you do this, and it gives you a reading right there as to what that temperature is. Now, it's not going to, it gives you a temperature for hot oils, which is really important. It's really important. It's as important as if you're doing candies or any of those, because when you're frying, you're usually going to be frying between 350 to 365, sometimes 365 to 370. And what happens is you fry a batch of French fries, okay? And you know that your oil was hot. Then you put it out, you throw the next batch in. Well, the next batch could actually be going in at 250 degrees. So now you're soaking up into whatever it is you're frying. The potato, you're soaking grease into it, and you don't want that. So you remove the first batch, you take your little $10 item, laser it, 350, 365, next batch goes in. Absolutely fantastic. You are going to want some cutting mats, and I like these that are flexible like this because it's easy to pick them up and scoop them and dump the vegetables into a bowl. You can get packages of 10 of these, packages of 4. They're usually about $10. Now, I have a really beautiful cutting board that I love, but do you have to use that? No, you're more than capable of cutting what you need on one of these, okay? And they're available everywhere. Next, let's talk about the pans that you're going to need. You're going to want some saucepans, and this is Teflon coated, so I have 2 different sizes of these. If you can only handle one size, you are going to need one. Get the medium size, which will be better than going too small or too large, okay? And these are very old. I've had them forever, and I use them probably every single day. So you're going to need a Teflon coated pan like this. Then these are one of my favorites. Oh, cast iron skillets, okay? Now, when you season this correctly, and I haven't put a video up on how to season them, but I will put one up, then it's like actually cooking on Teflon. I mean, they're amazing, and they will last you not just the rest of your life, but the rest of your children's life and your grandchildren's lives, because nothing ever happens to them. Nothing. And they are wonderful. And if you go to thrift stores, you guys, you can find these all day long. And once again, if you're only going to be able to get one, I would recommend one about this size, okay? I think that that pretty well accommodates most anything that you're going to be cooking. If you get the really large one here, and you're only cooking for 2 or 3 people, let's just say you're frying chicken, if they make great fried chicken, then what ends up happening is that you've got a whole surface of oil that you have to use that's going to have to be that deep, where if you use a moderate sized one, you're only using just the amount of oil that is reasonable to use, okay? Your bowls. Your bowls are really important. You don't need a lot of them. You just want good bowls. So this is a set that I have really loved. It's a set of 3 bowls in here, and it's just, they're easy, they're convenient for anything that I'm doing. I find that the sizes of these bowls has been really exceptional. really. So I don't think I need anything other than those. Now I do have another set of bowls. Let me show you real quick here. It's important what not to look for so you don't get it. Do you see how these are curved all the way around on the bottom? And you see how this is squared off? This is a bugger. This bowl I will serve salads in, or I'll make a dessert in this bowl. But to actually use it for preparation of food, I find it very difficult. I don't want the squared off edge, I want the rounded. So I think as you're looking for a bowl, you might want to consider the rounded rather than the squared off. Rolling pins, got to have one, got to have one. They come in all sizes, all shapes. I have a marble one that was given to me when my husband and I were married. So I've had it a gajillion years. It is heavy as heck to use, and I haven't taken it out. I don't know, I should probably just give it away, you know, because it's a good rolling pin. It's a really good rolling pin. It's a marble one, but I don't use it anymore. I just use the wood one. So I like the one that is long and has the tapered handles, tapered ends on it. You can find these most anywhere, and you can find them any length. I recommend getting the longer one like this simply because as you advance in your cooking, there are things that you're going to roll out that are going to be 12 and 18 inches long, so you don't want a rolling pin this long, okay? Rolling pin that long isn't going to help you. It's going to be a detriment. I have that rolling pin too, like this. I love this rolling pin. But you see, if I'm rolling something out, it has to be 18 inches, I've got a problem with this one. So, I really recommend that large one. Your saucepans, very important, very important. And again, you're probably going to want 2 sizes of saucepan. Now, the ones I have here are really, really good ones. They're really heavy. I mean, really heavy. So, I don't recommend, if you don't have the budget for it, I don't recommend that you get something like this, but I do recommend that you get something this size, all right? This size and that size. You will be needing both of them. Now, try to go for weight a little bit too. The more weight you have on that, the less likelihood you have of burning your food on the bottom. This particular one has a copper core right in the center, which really distributes the heat well. But if that doesn't work for you, that's not a problem. But be sure you get a couple of saucepans that you can use. Now, your strainers are important. There's so many different recipes you'll make, and they're going to ask you to strain the lumps out of something. Or if you make a mistake in the gravy and you need to strain the flour clumps out, you got it. So these are usually sets that come like this, okay? And they're really convenient. I think they're necessary, but is it necessary to have all 4 of these? Absolutely not. If you can only get one, I would recommend one about this size right here. And I think that pretty much would serve its purpose. Now, if you're getting fried foods out, you want to be able to do it as efficiently as possible. Yes, you can use this, but this has the ability of slipping and splashing and burning you. I recommend something like this. And again, very inexpensive, just maybe $3. But you can scoop in, you can pick that fried food up. There's no chance that it's going to drop, no chance at all. This is a box grater, and it has 4 different grades on it. I think, in all fairness, in all the years I've cooked, this is the only one that I have ever used, just this side. But sometimes this is very important. I make a recipe that is, oh, so good. It's a Queen Amana. And if you've never tasted that pastry, you're going to want to watch that video. I haven't got it up yet, but it'll be coming up pretty soon. And it calls for frozen butter. So you freeze the butter and then you have to grate it. This is perfect for something like that. So these, again, very good. Now, I'm only showing you this one because Thanksgiving and Christmas are right around the corner, and this is a gravy separator. Is it essential? Absolutely not. But is it easy? Yes, it is. So you pour the gravy in here. It'll catch any of the meat bits that are on there. It'll stop them going through. And then as that fat rises, you just do this, and the usable gravy comes out of the bottom. It's cool, it's slick. Is it necessary? No. All you have to do is just wait 15 minutes. The fat will rise. You can skim it off and you're at the same place. Or if you want to lessen the time, stick the pan or the bowl, whatever you're using, in the refrigerator. As soon as it gets a little cold, that fat will rise, cut it off, or spoon it off, and you're good to go. This is just kind of nifty if you have it. Now let's talk about your knives. Your knives are very important, and your knives can be very, very expensive. Unless you are a professional, you do not need a $300 chef's knife. Unless you're planning on doing sushi, which I have never done and probably will never do. I love it, so I'll just go buy it. But other than that, just getting a good set of knives is important for you. You're going to want to have one of the larger knives like this. You're going to want to have a bread knife, especially if you're going to make my bread, which I hope you do. But this is serrated edge, so you're going to want to use that to cut through bread. Trying to cut bread with one of these other knives just doesn't work. Then a smaller knife for the smaller things you're using. And then this has become my very favorite knife. I use this all day long, every day. It's actually a fish fillet knife or a boning knife where you can get in and you can really do some fine cutting. I use this knife for everything, absolutely everything. And it is the best I've ever seen. I got it on Amazon. If I could tell you which, I don't think it's important. I don't think it's important what brand I got. I think what's important is that you see that it has that curve, and that curve is what really helps you. Now, you want to keep your knives sharp because the most dangerous thing in your kitchen is a dull knife. A dull knife will slide off of something. You have a lot of trouble with a dull knife. So you want to keep them sharp. So this is how you know whether your knives are sharp or not. You take a piece of paper, you take your knife. That is a dull knife. So what are you going to do with that? Now, if you're a professional, they do have these rods, and you, like I see the chefs do. I don't have a flippin' clue how to use that thing, but I do know how to press a button. So I bought this. It was only, I think, about $18, $19, and it's a chef's choice, and it is a knife sharpener. So I'm going to show you how to sharpen it. You just do that. Let me put this someplace where you can see it. All right, where's that dull knife? Dull knife. Very light touch. I'm not pressing down on it. I'm just letting the knife just roll slowly. I'm doing three times on each side, and then you come over here to the finer, and you'll hear the difference. I'm going to go back and do it again. Now you have a sharp knife. It just took a few minutes. I would love to tell you that I sharpen my knives every week, and I don't. I sharpen them when they get dull, and that makes me crazy. I wish I had just the wisdom to do it every week, and they would be much better off. So this, I think, is it essential? No. Will it help you greatly? Yes. And for a very low cost, I think that that's probably a fairly good tool to have. Now, let's get into a little bit of money here. Let me move some of this over. All right, I brought my absolutely second to my favorite tool in my kitchen is my Cuisinart. Now, this one I have had not a really long time, but the one I had before this lasted for years, and it did perfectly good for me. It has so many attachments in it that it'll knead dough, it'll make pie crust, it'll chop anything. It is fantastic, and I use it constantly. Now, Cuisinart, I watch America's Test Kitchen a lot because I think that they are wonderful. They're sponsored by no one, so they don't have an allegiance to any particular brand out there. And they just did a survey on the #1 best food processor available on the market, and it's right there. It's right there. That's the #1 food processor. They're expensive. This one is probably going to be about $230 is the average for this, but you will have it a very, very long time. If you cannot put this into your budget right now, then, you know, you can do everything this will do. It's just that you'll be doing it by hand. If you're going to whip cream, you can do it by hand, or you can do it in just a matter of seconds here. This grades cheese, it chops onions, it grades everything for soups. It chops, it dices, it whips. It is absolutely amazing. So yes, down the road, if you can, get this. If you can't, just don't let that stop you, because you can still do everything manually. Then, we have this. Now this again is the top of the line. My brother Reggie said to me something one time. He said, buy the best and only cry once. And boy, do I hold that dear to my heart, because you can buy mixers and you can buy stand mixers like this that are probably $65, you know, $75. This one is probably $300. I had one before this, and I had it for 30 years. I use it every single day. And then the colored ones started coming out, because way back then, nobody had colored ones, they were all white. So the colored ones started coming out. I wanted a red one, and I just couldn't justify buying one when I had one that was perfectly good. And then my brother indicated that he wanted one, so I said, oh, good, here, let me gift you this one. And then I was justified to go out and buy this one. This is amazing. This product is fantastic, and it will last you for years and years and years and years. And the warranty is so good on these. If anything goes wrong, but nothing ever went wrong on my other one, nothing has ever gone wrong on this one. Now, again, if you can't handle, you know, $300, I can understand that, but at least get a hand mixer. You're gonna need a mixer of sorts. If you wanna make mashed potatoes, really hard to do it with I have a tool like this, okay? And this is good if you want to do pinto beans or something, not necessary. But if you're going to mash potatoes, this would be a good one to do it. You could probably buy that for $10, okay? However, you're not going to get that really smooth mashed potato. You are going to need to have a mixer of sorts. So you can buy a hand mixer and get started with that if that's where you are right now. And you can get those for probably about $30. And then as you progress on, you can build up until you can kind of get to this level, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, you have prepared your food. You're going to need to wrap it. So you've got plastic wrap. Now, no, you do not have to buy this huge plastic wrap that I have here. It's just that I buy it at Costco, and it's very affordable, and I cook a lot, so I use this. But plastic wrap is very important for anything. If you're putting things in the refrigerator to let them cool off. You need something that's going to cling to that bowl and cling to the sides. When I bake bread, I always take my plastic wrap and put it over the bowl so I can keep the moisture inside. So you can just buy a normal person size, which is at the grocery store for, I don't know, probably a couple bucks. Then the other wrapping that you're going to want to take a look at is your tin foil. And again, this is it's a real saver a lot of times, simply because a lot of times when I bake chicken, I'll put the tin foil on the bottom. You know what that does? It saves me from having to clean the pan. That is like so good. I throw the tin foil away and I just have to scrape it up rather than scraping stuff off that pan. If you are going to be storing anything in your freezers, you might want to add this as another layer of protection around it, okay? So your wrappings are important. Alrighty? Well, I think basically I have covered, I believe, everything that you have to get started. I just came across, because I was researching for you, I came across all of these tools here, so many of these tools here, and there's a set of them that you can purchase on Amazon, and I believe it was 19 pieces for $19. I don't know, it was late last night, I don't know. So like everything, you have your peeler, you have your spatulas, you had everything in there. So that might be a good starting point for you, all right? So with that being said, let me know how it's going for you. If you're just a beginner and you want to just chat with somebody because you're just not really sure, give me a call. I think I mentioned on the first beginner series that I did when I was talking about, what was the first one about? What the heck did we do? Oh, hot cocoa. That was the first one. And I mentioned there that I was living in Chicago and my mother was here in San Diego, and I was, 3,000 miles away from her. And she was a good cook and I had nobody I could turn to. Well, you know what, you guys? You have somebody you can turn to, and that's going to be me, all right? Because I would be more than happy to help any one of you out there. If you have any questions, if things aren't working for you, if you want to know, okay, Roseanne, I got the tools, but what in the heck should I make? Well, the very first thing we're going to make, and that'll be the next series, on the beginner series, mashed potatoes. Holidays are coming up, gotta have mashed potatoes with that turkey, okay? So with that being said, I really want to thank you for coming to the beginner series. I think it's an important series, I really do, and I want it to be very, very good for you. So wherever you are, Roseanne, I want to know how to make biscuits. Roseanne, I need to know how to make whipping cream. Is a pumpkin pie with pie crust impossible at my level? No, it's not. So you let me know the things that you need, and I will try to incorporate that into our series. And up until then, I will just say thank you so much for coming. I love having you here more than you can even know. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Subscribe, because that always makes life wonderful on my end. And just good luck. Good luck. Find the tools, know what's essential, know what may be down the road, and just start to open the joy of cooking. All right? So thank you. You guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you again very soon.